सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरि ओम। Chapter 13, Renunciation. Topic: Renunciation is bliss. Well, there is a quick question here. Does a desire need to be specific, or all the routine activities are considered as born out of desire only? Kindly clarify with reference to knowledge regarding renunciation. In my present state of life, I seem to have no specific desire. Right. I'm glad. Does the desire need to be specific, or all the routine activities are considered as born out of desire only? Yes. Why you are asking this question, why this confusion to you, is because of your own statement there. In my present state, I am not able to see any specific desire in me. But still I am doing so many things. You are not able to see the desires in you, not because desires are not there in you. Because to see the desire in you, you need objectivity. The one who is lacking objectivity will not be able to recognize their desires. It's not possible. That doesn't mean they are not there. I don't know who is the good questioner, but I'm, don't get annoyed with me for others. And I'm quite sure that person should be an elderly one, senior citizen. Ask me, how do you know that? I don't know who the questioner is. Name is there, but I can't recognize. So, I can recognize only few people. Others I don't know. Why you are not able to see is because you lack that ability to stand apart and observe yourself. Like for example, when we had this quality of bhakta, we studied. The first quality Krishna refers to bhakta is adveshta sarvabhutana. Means no dvesha to any being, no hatred towards anyone. I was doing the class, that topic, we are discussing in a class. So I finished the class, I came back. This is about a few years back. Years when I say about maybe around 7 or 9 years back, perhaps. Sometime back, when we were doing this, class somewhere I was teaching, and then I came back. My daughter was, waiting to, speak to me because she was very angry. She was very frustrated and, very angry she was. She says, I hate that person. Somebody she was referring to, one of her friend in the school, I hate him. I said, oh. Then I asked, who all you hate? And she was so happy to hear that question. Because nobody asked that. Who all you hate? He started giving list. I wanted to check whether my name is there. That's all. Like Abu Ben Adam asked, the angel which appeared in the room. He asked, is my name there? Like I was also asking her, is my name there? And then my mother was there at the same time. Right? She was here in Bangalore that time. So I turned to my mother and asked her, do you hate anyone? And tack reply came, no, I don't hate anyone. Yeah. I said, then you must be a bhakta. Because just now we studied in the book stating the one who doesn't have hatred to any being is called a bhakta. Must be having a universal, love. Then you must be Mirabai, having universal love. And I know for certain she is nowhere near. Universal love, nowhere near. Because she is my mother, I have to say she is a very good lady and all that. But universal love, no chance. But then she says what? I don't hate anyone. And when she said that, she meant it. It's not that she is lying. She is, being, hypocritical. Nothing of that sort. She genuinely felt, I don't hate anyone. I said, just think. And she was so, so sweet. She actually took some time, a few minutes. After that, she suddenly said, Illada. She said, suddenly, that's how I got to know that she took some time to actually think. Yaar illiye, she said. I said, okay. Then I just changed the whole thing and, told, once you also grow, you'll also become like, your grandmother. That's all. Forget it and you move. But what is interesting is the child is able to see what it is actually feeling. When it is feeling that hatred, it has the courage, it has the capacity to see, recognize, acknowledge. I hate you means I hate you. I love you means I love you. Full stop. There is nothing here. But as we keep growing or aging for that matter, slowly what happens is we try to cover it up with so many things. This is what I keep telling you people. Many times I have told this. Repeat a lie 10 times, you will start believing it as a truth. You see, you need objectivity. You should be able to stand apart and see. That's called objectivity. Objectivity is only that, the capacity to stand out and see. If you are stuck inside, you can't know. Like when you take your own, book very close to your eyes, you can't read. For you to read the book, it should be at a distance. Only then you can read. Otherwise, how can you read? Some distance is needed for you to recognize. As you age, you get so involved in things. You just can't see. You can't pull yourself out of it. That is why this knowledge was introduced as early as possible. Earlier this knowledge gets introduced to a person, better their life is. Now, of course, we take that optimistic stand, better late than never. Instead of never, late is better. That's about it. So the comparison point is this. Instead of nothing, something is better. Based on that alone, we are conducting these classes. See, otherwise this is not going to help at all. But this is valuable, this is relevant. Why? Because something is better. But you're right, you can't see it. I'm glad that you are able to recognize at least this much. You see, I'm not able to find. The fact that you say that proves you have attempted to locate it. You see, I can, I will take the credit. You know, wherever this is, these are some credits, we give to ourselves. We'll, take it upon us. If I had been a part in your attempt, I'm so glad. Been of some help actually. See, you can't see it. So that is why this confusion is. Does a desire need to be specific or general? There is no such thing called general desire. Every desire is specific. When you lack objectivity or when you are having too many things mixed up, nothing specific you can get. It's all khichdi. In a khichdi, which taste comes to you? This dal is there, that is there, vegetable is there, then you put, one, this one is there, that one is there, and then suddenly you add little cardamom to it. Now, once you have added cardamom, what comes first to you, sir? The smell of the cardamom you get, that's all. Right. Imagine too many items are added together, mixed up together. You can't recognize any one of them. Like when you're making the sabji, you would be adding this, turmeric powder you add, right? When you makes a sabji. Correct? La. Only she has to acknowledge. Then I'll say, okay. Add that. Do you get the taste of it? Have you ever recognized, this one? Which taste you are able to recognize is any one of that which is strong. The strongest one is what is getting recognized. All other tastes gets underplayed. Or when it gets equally presenting all those things, you can't get anything particular. You will just have a general taste of that. That's about it. You can't make out anything. That is what happens as you age, as you keep growing in life. Too many desires comes up. Too many desires mix up. And it has every desire, disappointment and desires and disappointment, desire and disappointment. How much of disappointments you will be able to see in your life? After a point of time, you will close your eyes. You simply close your eyes. That's it. You shut your eyes so that you don't see any more disappointments. By you shutting your eyes towards disappointments doesn't mean your desires have disappeared. Desires are still there, but you can't recognize any one of them. Why? Because of too many, and all of them were equally strong, and you are lacking objectivity. Suppose if you are having that objectivity, then if you say, I don't seem to have any specific desire, cannot be possible in your case, because if you are in that state, you will not ask this question to me at least. You see, to me, you will not ask this question. You may ask someone else, but definitely not to me. You can't ask this question. The fact that you have asked this question means this. Now, what to do, sir? Is a does a desire need to be specific? Yes, all desires are specific. Does an ingredient has to be specific taste? Yes. Every ingredient has to be having a specific taste. Every one of them have a particular taste. When you have that particular taste, you get it. But when you mix too many ingredients, nothing specific you would be able to recognize. And over a period of time, you keep eating spicy things, spicy. You keep eating. Over a period of time, your tongue loses its sensitivity. Similarly, at the psychological level, you lose your objectivity. Since you have lost your objectivity, you can't recognize anything. That doesn't mean it is not there. See, be careful. So I am not able to see anything particular. Why? Because you are lacking objectivity. So once you develop that objectivity to stand apart and see, you will see that khichdi. You know, that's the significance of a coconut. You carry a coconut, no, to the temple. What is that coconut? Outside the coconut, you see it's all smooth, round and smooth surface. Just cut that and open up and see. It's all knotted inside. The coir inside is all knotted. But externally, you see it is all smooth. But you need that penetrative capacity to go in. You need to rip open and see. When you rip open your own mind and see, suddenly you will realize too many desires are there. But every desire by defined by nature, it is specific only. There's no such thing called generally. General means lacking objectivity. Every desire is particular, specific one. Okay. I've been getting this notification in my system that the internet is not stable. So there's a good chance that I may be coming, with a lot of jerks. Suddenly I may go off also. So don't think something wrong with me. It's to do with the internet connection. What happened to him suddenly? Nothing has happened. Renunciation is bliss. There can be no peace, no happiness unless you renounce your little self. Give up your self-asserting ego. Drop the idea of I and mine, me and mine. E. Carpenter, the Englishman of great spiritual experience, says, "Never before could I have believed it, but I see it all now. There is no happiness unless you have clean dropped thinking about yourself. But you must not do it by halves. While even there is a least grain of self left, it will spoil it all. You must just leave it all behind and vouchsafe a personality and mind that much sympathy as to any stranger, no more, no less. Hence, must you banish all attachment and anxiety. Brush aside fear of censure and hope of appreciation. Consider yourself as you would a stranger. Cast aside your cherished personal ego and pass disembodied out of yourself. Pass through the gate of indifference, through the door of knowledge, into the palace of peace and bliss. The Isavasya Upanishad proclaims this truth. May you enjoy bliss through renunciation. A fascinating statement by this English mystic, E. Carpenter. He says, it will spoil it, he says, completely. What will get spoiled? It will spoil. Spoil what? It will spoil. It refers to, spoiling refers to, it will spoil. What will spoil what? Thinking about yourself. It will spoil what? What gets spoiled is, if at all you carry any little goodness in you, all the goodness that you carry will get spoiled. That's all. All that peace, all that happiness, joy, contentment, everything that you carry, that little that you are having here and there, that also will get spoiled. That is why he says you got to drop it, clean drop. You have to drop it completely. You can't say, stir, little by little we will drop. Stage by stage. See, all growth happens step by step only, no? So first thing what I will do, I will drop one today, one after 1 year. Every year I will drop one thing. That is what we do, New Year resolution. I'll take a New Year resolution. This year I'm going to drop. I'm going to drop. I'm going to drop. Say. Now carpenter says nothing doing it. You can't do like that. You got to clean drop, he says. Never could I have believed it. But I see it all now. Yes. That's the experience. That's the experience of his realization. From that state, he is speaking this. There is no happiness unless you have clean drop thinking. Now, how do you drop? And he gives a solution also. Okay, you have to drop thinking about yourself. But how can you drop thinking about yourself? Making the statement will look very easy. Statement is very a drop. Don't think of yourself. Don't have that ego. Drop that ego. Turn back and ask, how do you drop it, man? How do you drop that ego? He gives a solution. What do you do that? Yes. As much a stranger says. That much sympathy as to any stranger. Treat yourself. Thinking about you means ego. Okay. Thinking about yourself. Put it within bracket, ego. What is that, sir? You have to treat your own ego as you would treat a stranger. As much sympathy to a stranger. How much sympathy you give to a stranger? How much sympathy you will give to a stranger? There's a plane crash, Indonesia. This army flight, plane crashed. There are about 80 and odd soldiers passed away. You read that news. I hope I'm sure most of you would have read that news. What did you feel there? How did you feel about it? What did you do? How much you cried for that? 85 people. Not because of war or anything. Not because of any, there is an attack or this, that, nothing of that sort. It's just a freak accident. 85 soldiers. And, what do you see? When you read that, what happens to you? What happened to you? That's called stranger. That much sympathy you have to give to your own ego, to your own self. So how do you treat yourself? He says, you start treating your own ego, your own self as you treat a stranger. Now we have to ask the question, who is a stranger? That's how you decode these things. You ask this question, okay, now we have to see, who is a stranger? A stranger is one with whom you have no relationship. There is no relationship with the person. There's no connection. He is called a stranger. Like when you go and board the train, the person sitting next to you is a stranger. Right? What do? You sit there, he sits. You keep your luggage, he keeps his luggage. And you have to travel from, there was a train we used to have from Chennai to Delhi. 3 days it will take. Grand Trunk Express. Now we have this Duranto, 24 hours you reach. I'm talking about the 3 days it takes to go. You know, some of them will take bath at the railway station. The railway station, the train stops, These guys will jump out quickly and go take bath and come back. Amazing train. It was Grand Trunk Express. 3 days. Now you board the train. Who is the fellow sitting there? Who are the people around you? You don't talk to them immediately. You are sitting, he is sitting. They are also sitting, you are also sitting. You are just simply reading a book, or you're reading a newspaper or some story book, something you read. And he is also doing his own things. And then suddenly, yes, where are you going? He says Mars. And Grand Trunk Express, Delhi. And you have checked all those things in that chart. You have already seen. That's the first thing we used to go in the train. Experienced, train traveler. First thing he does is goes and checks the chart. In the chart, first point you see is your name, seat. Next thing you see is what? I have a thing to see. I will not tell that in the class. Okay, we check, who are all is there. And then, age, this, that, and all we check. Okay, today's train journey will be, interesting or boring. We have to know, identify, You have checked already. The fellow is going to go there. You know his name, you know his age, everything you know. And then you ask, where are you from? What is your, ancestral? He is from there. I am from here. He is from there. I am from here. This one, that one, this one, that one. By the time the second day comes, a fellow says, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Have a good sleep. You had a good sleep yesterday. Only I couldn't sleep because of you snoring so much. Now he can't say that. He's been so polite with him. He's so good at him. He buys one coffee and he says, would you like to have coffee? He offers coffee and he says, I will pay for that also. No, I'll pay. No. This fellow says, that fellow says, all that. Then suddenly what happens to that person? Relationship. Now what is it, sir? To a stranger, that's step one. Define what is a stranger. Then comes the second point. First point is stranger is one with whom I don't have any relationship. But then over a period of time, because of my constant interactions and repeated contact again and again and again, a relationship blossoms. A relationship gets formed. After that, you can't call that person as stranger anymore. Now there is a relationship. If it is positive, you call as friend. If it is negative, you call as enemy. Nevertheless, there is a relationship. You have a relationship with the friend. You have a relationship with your enemy also. Those who you like, you have a relationship. Those who you don't like, you have a relationship. Isn't it? So it's not that you are having relationship only with those whom you like. You have relationship with those who you dislike also. Those who you dislike is called as enemies. Those whom you like is called as friends. And then comes all other things one by one. Depending upon the things, you keep changing the names. Right? But essentially only two types of relationships you have. Those who I like, those who don't, I don't like. But no longer strangers. Now what is interesting is the moment I establish a relationship, whatever happens to that person affects me. If I have a positive relationship with them, if good comes to them, I am happy. If bad comes to them, I am unhappy. If I treat that person to be an enemy, then anything bad comes to them, I am happy. Karma works, I say. There is law of karma. Why? For all that that fellow did, he deserves it. This is suddenly you become very philosophical. Why? Your enemy has got. There is God. There is God. கடவுள் எல்லாம் பார்த்துட்டு தான் இருக்கிறார். He gives. He is always watching us. He will punish you. Yeah. All that. What is it? It affects you. Anything happens to the other party affects you. Why that affectation? The affectation is because of the relationship that I have established. Now go back. It's a stranger once. Then what happened? Constant interaction created a relationship, and then whatever happens to them affects you. If that relationship is not there, you're not affected at all. What is the foundation of relationship? What is the relationship? This is what Rama explains. Rama says in Yoga Vasishtha, he says, all our life, relationships, all the contacts that we are having is all like in a flooded river. Two logs of wood meet and travel together for a period of time, only to be parted. That's it. Now here, where is the relationship? We're just there together for a period of time, and then we move apart. The two strangers meet, association starts, and the relationship is formed. After the stranger goes, strangeness is gone anymore. The stranger means, that you no longer see that person as a strange one. Now they become what? Becomes real. You start believing in the reality of the relationship. How strongly you will believe that relationship to be real is based on how strong you have maintained your association. Now, what Carpenter says is fascinating here. He says, renunciation doesn't mean you treat others as strangers. You treat your own self as stranger. Why? Because you believe in the reality of your ego because of your constant imaginary thinking. Constant thinking of what? I, my, me, mine. This I, my, me, mine. I, me, mine. I, me, mine. Constantly. This is mine. This is my thing, me. I. Constantly you keep on repeating this. Today that ego started appearing to be real. Exactly like the relationship. All relationships. Strange only, when you got married, newly at that time, ages back, I'm saying, he, I came to Bangalore, she came much later. So a lot of class members, a few members got together. They said we'll have one, party. I said we'll have party, but you people have to pay. Don't ask me to pay. I said I'll attend the party, but you pay. My wedding, but you have to pay. They said they know me. They said, yeah, chalo man, come, because we want to celebrate. You're also caught up, so they want to celebrate that. I told her, they are having this, so a lot of people are going to come. Suddenly she said, "Ayyo, I don't know any one of them." I said, 15 days back, you don't know me also. Yeah. 15 days back, you don't know me. Now what? You will come there because she can't understand the language. She cannot understand because these people can't speak Tamil there. They'll be talking some strange language. I don't know what to do. I don't know who they are, what to talk to them, how to interact with them, nothing. I said, all that you have to do is what? Simply come, sit there. After about 10-15 minutes, what will happen? Slowly conversation will pick up. They'll ask, what is your name? What is wrong with you? Why did you marry this fellow? Some question they will ask. You answer or you don't answer. They don't care. Just that interaction will happen. Now what is it? Oh, totally different now. Says what? She knows more than me about you people. Now I have to ask her, who's that person? What about them? So every time I have to ask, oh, what is this now? Initially strangers. You see, all strangers only. After a period of time, we contact and contact and contact. Where was a child before it was born to you? No clue. Where it is going to go after it dies? No clue. In between, it is staying with you for a period of time. And you believe what? In the reality of that relationship. Now, what Carpenter says is, don't treat others as strangers. Maintain that relationship. But when you are maintaining that relationship, one aspect of you should remember what? We were strangers one day. Again, we will become strangers other day, future. This relationship, a strangers meeting together, developing a relationship, moving towards what? Only to be estranged. That's all. Isn't it? Estranged. They say no. Only towards that we move. That's it. What are we doing? This is exactly what Buddha said to his father. He escaped. He simply ran away from the palace. Midnight. In the night, he sneaked out. After 12 years, Buddha was going around begging. He was going around begging. By mistake, he entered into his own kingdom. He forgot. He didn't realize. And his father saw. His father saw, he got so furious. I went up to Buddha and said, first thing father told Buddha is, look here, even now I am ready to forgive you. Buddha's father told him, because like a coward you ran away from the palace, bringing infame to our clan. Don't worry, I am still willing to forgive you. Forget about the past. Come back and take over the kingdom. And Buddha looked at him and said, can't you recognize the person who went away and the person you are seeing now? They are totally two different fellows. And you see, they are two different personalities. This is what happens to most of alumni association. You go and see your friend. You can't understand. You don't recognize that now that person standing there in front of you is not the person who was playing football with you in school days, fighting for that one chocolate, crying for not getting that 2 marks. That's not the fellow who is in jubilee that the teacher is absent today and trying to boost off his new geometry box. That's not the fellow standing there in front of you. He's a totally different person. The person who has all our life is like a junction, he says. It's like a junction. I come from one direction, you come from a direction. We stand there for a period of time, and then I have a place to go, you have a place to go. You speak so nice, so good, till that station comes. Once you get down from the station, you go your way, they go their way. That's it. There's no connection. But still you say what? Oh, God, what a relationship. It says, it is easy to treat others as strangers. You have to become indifferent because that's all you have to do. How to treat others as strangers? Just become indifferent towards them. That's it. Once you become indifferent, but it is very difficult to treat yourself as a stranger because the ego is a problem. It's a product of your own imagination. You can't do that. That cherished personal ego. That's what he says, that cherished ego. Why? How do you cherish it? Means you have been pampering it, you have been feeding it, you have been, doing that every day. Every day you go on and on and on feeding that. Become indifferent to what is happening inside you. You should learn to become indifferent to what is happening inside. That's what he says. Pass through the gate of indifference. Poetry. The prose has written poetry here. This paragraph is like that. Pass through the gate of indifference, through the door of knowledge into the palace of peace and bliss. A fascinating one. Cast aside your cherished personal ego. You cherish it. You have been feeding it. You have been doing all this. He says, drop it. And that's the proclamation of the Isavasya Upanishad. The first mantra of Isavasya Upanishad. Anywhere we have philosophy in the world, all the philosophies of the world is packed in that one mantra. There is nothing beyond that one mantra. Everything is just an explanation of that mantra only. Fascinating. Thena tyaktena bhunjida. That's what is translated as, may you enjoy bliss through renunciation. Just renounce. Renounce and enjoy. That's the stand of Isavasya Upanishad. Bhoga in Sanskrit means enjoyment. And yoga means renunciation. People construe these two words as antonyms. Consider bhoga to be opposed to yoga. But that is not so. If you study them carefully, you will conclude that they are not different. Bhoga, enjoyment, is nothing other than renunciation. It may sound revolutionary, but it is the truth. There can be no real enjoyment unless you are poised in the mental state of renunciation. No sooner you renounce the arrogating ego than you become the personification of joy, happiness, bliss. You turn spiritual. The path to supreme self, the way to bliss, to the bliss of self-realization is the crucifixion of the little self. That's what Ram Tirtha says. Says people want to become Christ, they have to be willing to go through this crucifixion. But we all attempt bypassing, circumventing crucifixion. We want to become Christ. That's impossible. You have to go through this. There is a way to avoid this. Is there a way to avoid this crucifixion and become Christ? Is what we all look out for. So we will say, no, weekend course. 10 days crash course for realization. In 10 days, we'll train you to become Christ. There's nothing doing. You have to go through this crucifixion. In fact, when he was carrying the cross, one man goes to Christ because he keep falling. Because previous day, whole night was grilling, debating, discussing this one, that one, and then they pronounced, and then he is whiplashed the whole night. And then they put that heavy cross on his shoulder and said, you carry it to the top of the hill. And he was struggling, carrying, keeps falling. He's just taking it up and going, walking, going. And one fellow from the crowd, reached to Christ and offered, sir, I'll carry your cross till the mountain top. I used to wonder, was he serving him or he wants to, disservice to Christ? Because before carrying it, he would have passed away. He would have escaped all that, cross and all that, crucifixions. Now, this fellow goes, and a fantastic reply by Christ. He looked at him and smiled first. He's whiplashed the whole night, this fellow. And he's carrying, and this man coming to, give his assistance. He looked at him and said, it smiled, he said, I carry my cross, you carry your cross. And the man confirmed, this guy is off. He confirmed, this case is off case only. Why? He looked around, I am not carrying any cross, man, you are carrying cross. I have come to help you. To which he says, no, that's not the way it is. I carry my, you carry yours. Always look for a method to avoid carrying our cross. Escape. Quickly we want to escape from it. That's what Ram Tirtha says. The crucifixion of the little self. This bhoga is yoga. A fascinating idea. You see, this because we understand bhoga means indulgence, enjoyment. Yoga means, don't say unite back and all those things. Yoga means what? Renunciation. That's all. It says yoga, meaning of yoga says yoga means renunciation. Full stop. That's all. There's nothing much, nothing else there, he says. And he says that yoga is bhoga. Absolutely paradoxical. Such a paradoxical statement. The whole paragraph, he is explaining the statement of Isavasya Upanishad. Remember, this is coming as an explanation for that. That's why I just read it out, so that we can understand, try to understand what is the meaning he gives. May you enjoy bliss through renunciation. Now, enjoy through renunciation means you renounce, you enjoy. So renunciation and enjoyment goes together. So bhoga and renunciation is same thing. He says that how can you say they are the same? And we don't understand it like that. He say the way we have understood is renunciation is painful. We have not understood renunciation to be blissful. Giving up Ego, dropping your ego is like going through the crucifixion. If Jesus has to die, only then the birth of Christ happens. As long as Jesus is there, Christ is not possible. Same way, we have to drop it. You say, no, 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 no. Why we can't drop it? Because we have a great value for it. We have a value. Since there is a value for it, since you consider something to be so valuable, someone says, drop that. How can you drop it? Dropping something which you cherish, which you value so much, dropping that can never be blissful. Dropping that has to be what? Painful for us. It says, drop it. But dropping for all of us, we think what? Oh, dropping means immediately drop the objects, drop the beings, drop the relationships, drop people. Dropping those things is what we consider to be dropping. He says, no, no, no. You have to drop that which you keep internally. Clean drop thinking of yourself. Drop that ego that you have been valuing so much. Physically, you can drop. Mentally, keep entertaining value for it. He is the one whom Krishna calls in the Gita as Mithyachara, hypocrite. He is a hypocrite, he says. Mithyachara. And this is attached. This attachment, he says, is the real problem, he says. You place value upon the world, and what is the problem there? Okay, what is wrong with it? So what is the issue, sir? Okay, I place value on the world. So what? So the effect of that, implication of that is what? What is implied is you place value upon the world, you cannot place value upon God. Not possible. But we all want what? For all my spiritual needs, I value God. For all my material needs, I will want world. World for my material needs, God for my spiritual needs. Balanced life, sir. We live a balanced life. And we think this is balance. You see, Asura, Ravana will look better. If Ravana comes back, he will appear to be a saint to all of us. Because he did not think like that. For this I keep that, for that I keep that. No. This hypocrisy. This value you place. On what basis you place value? The value that you place is directly connected to the strength of your desire. Remember that. How much value you place to the world, enjoyment, is directly connected to the strength of your desires. The moment something looks valuable, then you have no choice but to run behind it. Why? Because it is valuable. Isn't it? You see, the moment you see, a few years back, one of the class members was telling me, it seems it happened in their, very close friend of their house. That lady had left her, earring, solitaire. She missing. So they started searching, and then they couldn't find in the house, and it's expensive. I'm sure you all know it's pretty expensive, that was. And then they, informally, they told the police department because they knew the person there. So informally they came. They did not take a formal complaint or anything. Informally, those guys came and they, started inquiring all the, people in the house. So the maid was caught. She is the one who was taken. So she has taken that and she went to one pawnbroker, and she had sold it to the pawnbroker. The pawnbroker has given her 7,000 rupees. He said, I got 7,000 rupees for that. The solitaire, the cost of that was about 12 lakhs or something like that. They said, because it's a special diamond something. And these people got so annoyed and they caught hold of that pawnbroker. They asked pawnbroker, said, how can you give 7,000 to this? What a cheat you must be. Can't you recognize that the moment she brings in something like that, it cannot be theirs? You should have immediately reported to the police. No. The pawnbroker couldn't understand. He said, sir, I didn't understand. She brought gold and she gave me, I gave her 7,000 rupees for that. Now, how much you want me to give for this? And they got a real thing. Ask the lady, this is what you gave this girl? Yeah. Yes. The stone was missing in that. So they thought that fellow has stolen it. He said, no. I gave it without that stone. That lady asked, what happened to the stone? What did you do? I threw it in the gutters. Just outside their house, there's a gutter there. She just threw it there because it will reduce the value of the ring. The value of the ring will be lost because it's a stone. You see, the stone were to be there means he will take it out and throw anyway. It's of no use actually. So what do we do, sir? Throw it. Imagine that lady would have known the value of that stone is 12 lakhs. Huh? Any chance of her leaving it? The 7,000 rupees she is not leaving. Now you're expecting her to forget 12 lakhs? What is that? This is what it is. The moment you value something, you will run behind it. And you run behind it, what happens? Everything happens after that. Whatever desire happens, whatever happens with the desire, disappointments, frustrations, all that. Now you are having the frustration, all that, now go backwards. And in the desires, there is no such thing called good desire, bad desire, and all that. Remember, we have another strange idea. I will give up all bad desires. I'll keep all good desires only, sir. We don't care. Good desire or bad desire. Desire is a desire. You have to suffer for that. Period. That's what he explains in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. See, the 8th chapter is talking about, two paths. The path of the sun and the path of the moon. He explains. He explains what is this path, what is that path, what happens here, what happens there. Big explanation. After all that explanation, finally he says, this is the best part. There. The wise men go in the straight path. He says, there are two paths, but the wise man go in the third path. Straight one. Good, bad, there is no such thing. Desire means mental. Remember, desire means mental. Anything mental means imaginary. It's mental things. It's imagination. It's imaginary. Now, you are asked to drop what? All that relationships that you are entertaining are mental. Not in the mental. Okay. At the mind level. All that is happening at the mind level, thought level is all imagination only. Imaginary only. Why? It looks solid, real. Why? Because of constant association. So what do we do? All relationships that we entertain is what, sir? Imaginary. And you have entertained all those things, keeping the foundation is what? I. I is the basic foundation. Now, what Isavasya and what Carpenter does is, he demolishes that first. Once the foundation is demolished, everything else gets demolished automatic. There's no necessity of any special effort. When I myself is not, my association with this, all relationships I wanted to maintain, when we say all relationships will meet with separation, now if you are expecting separation in every relationship, then you are a pessimist. Who is an optimist? Opposite. Optimist is one trying to find out some methods to continue the relationship. This is what we do in the fairy tale. You read in school days, the kids study fairy tale, no? After that, the prince and the princess married and happily lived ever after. Inga. Huh? All of you married, no? Ever after you are living a happy imagination only, no? Is it a reality? It's not a reality. It's an imaginary one. But we all believe in what? Ever after lived happily. Ever after this. Ever after this. At the time of association, one aspect in you should remember: the ego in you that is claiming the relationship is a stranger. That's what he says. When you do that, then you understand what? The very body that you claim as yours is not listening to you, isn't it? Does your body listen to you? If your body listens to you, no problem at all. All that you have to say is what? Hey, hair, don't turn gray. Okay. That's it. Your hair will not turn gray. Let there be no wrinkles. Okay. No wrinkles. Does it listen to you? Your own body doesn't listen to you, remember. But the relationships that we have established, keeping the body as a reference point, we expect those relationships to listen to the mind. You're all with me. That's what he says. Clean drop thinking of yourself. Clean drop thinking. When you do that, only all these things happens. Otherwise, this will not happen. Otherwise, boga and yoga will look two different things. Once you understand this, then it becomes. That is why we say your ego is like a creeper. Say, it can't stand on its own. It has to lean on something. It has to lean on something. You pluck out all the things, it will, die. It can't exist. But this ignorance, because of this ignorant of this fact, ego starts believing what? More and more of what I cherish, if I get, more and more of happiness is possible. That approach is where we understand as enjoyment. Yoga says, drop that belief. That is where you will get real enjoyment. Your ignorance says this, the knowledge says, only by dropping you can be happy. Very paradoxical thing. You can't understand. Please, sir. How that is possible? But life itself is paradoxical. If you look at life, everything is paradoxical. So boga is yoga. Or rather, yoga is boga. What he is giving here is this. This yoga itself is boga. Don't think, they are two different things. Both are one and the same thing. The highest paradox of life, that is what is stated by Isavasya Upanishad. Enjoyment comes through renunciation. Simple paradoxes we can understand. It's not a big difficulty. A simple paradox is what? The man who is ignorant claims knowledge. The wise man claims ignorance. It should be other way around, no? Ignorant man carries ignorance, so he should claim I am ignorant. Wise man is carrying wisdom, he should claim wisdom. Paradoxically, in life, the ignorant man goes on claiming knowledge and the wise man goes on claiming ignorance. I don't know, he says. That's why only a wise man can say, I don't know. The ignorant fellow will always say, I know. That is ignorance. Paradox. Everything is paradoxical in life. One of the most paradoxical thing, the truth, reality of life is yoga is bhoga. We understand bhoga and yoga as two opposites. He says they are not opposites. They are synonyms. They are not antonyms. We'll see you in the next class. Thank you.